Hello YouTube and welcome to your 7th PHP video tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be going over two new operators and we'll be going over if, else, else if, and nesting ifs. The two new operators we'll be going over are or and. And or is represented by two vertical lines which are found underneath the backspace. Let me go ahead and comment this out. And is represented by two and symbols. And I'll show you how this works. So let's start by creating a variable and setting the variable equal to 10. Then let's start with our condition. And in here we'll have variable if our variable is equal to 9 or our variable is equal to 10. Then we want to echo, I mean to do that. Echo our var is 9 or 10. So I'll explain what's going on. What's going on is we're saying if our variable is equal to 9, or then we have to write it again, if our variable is equal to 10, we want to show on the screen, well, our variable is 9 or 10. So as you can see, you go to our 7th PHP tutorial, 7.php, and you can see it says our variable is 9 or our variable is 10. Simple enough. So let's try using the same condition, but let's try with and. So we'll have the two and signs, and it says if our variable is 9 and our variable is 10, which is absolutely impossible. We'll have echo our variable is 9 or 10, else we'll have you're an idiot. That's impossible. So we'll refresh the page and we have you're an idiot. That's impossible because, well, that's impossible. Now we're going to move on to learning about if, else, and else if. So we learned about if, else in the last video tutorial, but did you know you could do more than one condition? You didn't have to just do two conditions. You can do more than two. For example, let's do a simple check to see if our variable is equal to 1. And here we'll echo our var is 1. But that's not all we want to do. We want to do we want to do 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You can do as many as you want, as many times as you type it. So we'll have else if. Now what this is saying is if the variable is not 1 but the variable is this, so since we're asking another condition, we can use our parentheses. And of course, in these parentheses, we'll have our new condition. So we'll have if the variable is equal to 2, and go ahead and copy this. Our variable is equal to 2. Oh, that says 3. Okay, and then we'll do even one more. So we'll copy that, and we'll say if our variable is equal to 3, then go ahead and echo 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to say else. What is our var? So what this is saying is if our variable is not 1, 2, or 3, we're going to echo what is our variable, because this else is at the very end. It's at the very end of the statement. That means it's going to read through all these, and if all of these are false, it's like the default one. So if all of these are false, then default, what is our variable? So let's run this and see what we get. And as you can see, we get what is our variable. Well, let's change our variable 3 and see what we get. Okay, and we'll go back to our browser, and we get our variable is 3. So as you can imagine, you can go through as many numbers as you want, but our else is going to say what our variable is if all of these 3 conditions are false. So don't get confused by this, because I know it can confuse some people. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to teach you guys something new, which is nesting an if. So let's do that. Now, what you've seen so far is just an if-else statement. It's just normal. If else, if else, if else. And we're going to teach you how to put an if inside of another if. It's probably confusing at first. Let me do it. So let's go ahead and do what we had before. Variable is equal to 10. And we'll have if variable. And if you follow the last tutorial, what this does is it says if we have a variable, basically, if the variable exists. It's not checking a number, it's not doing anything, it's just saying if this exists. And with nothing on it, that's what it does. It says if this exists is if this is set, if this has any number or any value in it, then run some code. So what we're going to run is we're going to run echo, we're going to run we are in our first if and the var exists. So let's end that. And now we're going to run our second if. Now, we're going to have another if. And as you can see, I kept the brackets inside of the first if because this if is going to belong to this first if. So this if is going to belong in our first if's world. And it's going to have its own little world. So let's say if if variable is equal to 10, we'll echo this is our second if and variable is 10. So let's go ahead and run this code and let's see what happens. You know what, before we do that, let's do one thing, which is concatenate. Sorry, it froze a little bit there. And remember, all HTML has to be inside of quotes when you echo it. We'll echo a line break, and let's refresh. Now we are in our first if, and the variable exists, and this is our second if, and the variable is 10. Now, as you can imagine, you can get pretty complex with this. You can add else ifs, else, whatever. Here you can do the same thing. It's not limited. You can do whatever you want, and you can just continue going on. Now, of course you wouldn't do this normally. This is just too much work. What you would normally do is, if you wanted something with the same result, you would do if the variable is set and the variable is equal to 10, then do var is set and equal to 10 in the same if. And as you can see, that definitely would cut down a lot of time. And we'll even go ahead and add an else. What is going on? Var is set and is equal to 10 in the same if. Now what I want you guys to do is definitely play around with this so that you're able to grasp it and that you're able to understand it easier. Of course, following my videos are a plus, they're awesome to do, but if you don't practice and maybe take notes and at least follow along, you're not going to understand. Just reading it and watching what I do, you're just not going to understand unless you're brilliant. So make sure you practice this. And if I missed anything, leave a comment now. This has been your 7th PHP video tutorial. This is DontRTFM, YouTube.com. Please comment, subscribe, and thumbs up. It helps me more than you know. I'll see you guys for your 8th tutorial. Bye.